I don't like harbor a lot of like, oh, this should have happened. No, whatever happened, happened. That's the way it is. Hey, good luck. Thank you very much. And it's just time to move on.
So thank you so much for coming here and making this happen.
You're welcome. And coming right out of the gate, there's the old catchphrase.
Wow.
Wow.
The interview's over.
Interview's over. Thank you very much. And we will see you later. But, you know.
It's officially Aron now, though.
It is, yes.
Aron
1A,
with
1R.
1A.
1A, 1R. Wow.
Why?
Because you know what? I think my parents just wanted to keep it simple.
Okay.
They, I don't even know
I thought
what.
it was actually 2 A's, like when you look at your Wikipedia page.
I am actually, there's one other person that spells Aron with 1A and 1R that I know of, and that person is Elvis Presley. Elvis's middle name is Aron, and it's spelled A-R-O-N, so
Wow.
bam.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
How often do people still recognize you as Damien Sandow?
Really not that often.
I don't believe that.
No, well, all right, I'll say it like this. If I do not shave for about 2 weeks, that seems to be the limit to where I guess the beard is in, and I will get, oh, Sandow, 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 and if I don't wear a hat. But I usually wear a lot of hats, and but if I have like, you know, if I'm trying out for a part or there's an audition and it calls for facial hair and whatever, the weird thing is like I'll go to a store and I will get Sandow then. Or it's using that sense like, hey, you kind of look like Damien Sandow. And I just was like, oh, I get that a lot.
Oh.
But, you know, no, I think where I look a little different right now. You know, I've kind of transitioned past the full-time, full beard. It's not as much, but it's always nice, though, when some people do recognize you. One time, actually, I did get my voice for some reason.
Sure.
I was at a restaurant, and the person sitting behind me, I guess heard me talking. I don't know if I was projecting or whatever, but they said, oh, my God, I knew that was you by your voice, which was really weird. So, yeah.
When you have the beard being more full, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure you've seen the memes out there of Elias.
Oh, yeah.
People think that you are Elias.
That's so funny, and I remember I met him once. I think I was in the Performance Center, and he said, "Oh yeah, everyone says I look like you," and I'm like, "Well, you know, I hope you can do better with it than me," this kind of thing. But no, he's you know, from what I've seen of him, and I don't watch the product that much, but he really is talented, and I'm really happy for him.
So you're living out here in LA now?
Not LA. Like there's a big, and I'm sure you know this for those watching, right? There's, I moved, you know, from the South/Midwest or Kentuckiana, as it is known. It's like the Louisville, Indiana area.
Yeah.
So you know, moving out here to Los Angeles, and man, what a interesting geographical location this is, because you know, when I thought Los Angeles, and it's funny, we made this joke when we saw each other today, like we were right in the thick of it. I mean, we got Tell's Chinese Theater down the street.
Yeah.
There's the Walk of Fame.
Yeah.
This is what I thought, like Hollywood. I live in Malibu now.
That's where rich people live.
No. I mean, a lot of economically privileged people do live there, but there's all kinds of people in Malibu, and it's. I tell you what, the characters there and like the little town that is, because I'm a very small town person. Like I was never ever big city and bright light. Like that wasn't me. If I wasn't working, I wanted to be in front of a bonfire, just hanging out or whatever. Right? I'm not really like urbanly inclined.
Okay.
To some degree. But Malibu, it's funny. It's like that little blend. It's a beach town, but it's got a very small town vibe to it. And, you know, you never know who you're going to see at the grocery store, which is fun. But people leave each other alone. And it's a very, very interesting and awesome community.
So you haven't wrestled since we saw you in the ring in Impact Wrestling with the new character with the fur robe. That's the last time you wrestled?
Yes. That was my take on Liberace. Now, it's funny, right? A lot of people, they say, oh, like the Sandow Liberace thing didn't peter out. No, that was actually like, I was never under full-time contract with Impact. That was from an appearance-to-appearance basis. And that character, that was the one thing people weren't expecting. When I left WWE for Impact, everyone was like, oh, you're going to finally get a chance to wrestle.
Yeah.
And I remember my first night there, got to do a great promo, and the response was really positive. Well, I was like, all right, how can I spin this around, and how can I engage people in a different way? Can I still make them hate me? And I know that can seem somewhat, is sadistic the right word for that? But
Sure.
I'm not really that smart. But it was more like, let me swerve them. And it worked. I mean, with the fur and Spud and everything. And now my take on that character was not just Liberace. Initially, yes, Liberace spinoff. Absolutely. I had a plan for it. That was going to evolve into something completely unique. And it's the starting point was Liberace, just to make people go, oh, that's disgusting. But then as we progress, the character was going to evolve, because I'm not a fan of just, this is my character, and there is no room for development. There's no room for depth. And like the one-dimensional thing just never, ever did it for me. And that goes, wrestling and even acting too. Like I just told you the story of, I had a really good movie, and let's just say advisor. She's not my manager, but she is really.
Right.
It's an interesting dynamic there. But she, yelled at the people. Was like, no, you're going to do a role with depth. You're going to do something with that shows range. Anyone can go in there and be a tough guy and put someone through a wall. Which I've done that kind of thing before too. Like I had a great time at the show Midnight Texas for NBC. That was amazing. Yeah. That was like kind of like really getting to do some old pro wrestling stuff, and like my old skills came in handy. But this is more of just kind of like being present and slipping on the traits of someone else that I wouldn't normally do, and adding layers to a character, which it really is amazing. That's kind of the one thing that I've fallen in love with in acting. So it's, every wrestler that comes out here, they want to do like the, more action, which I'm all for. Like, and I've done some, and that's fine. But even in the action realm, that doesn't mean you can't have amazing acting. That doesn't mean you can put everything you have. And so when you do the action, it means something.
Yeah.
And wrestling's the same way. And I kind of just have taken that philosophy and adapted it out here. And especially with this wonderful woman, Sherman, her name is. She's forced me in a lot of ways, but I'm grateful to her to really appreciate the craft of acting. I mean, going back to watching the old movies, like the Oxbow incident, Inherit the Wind,
wow.
Spencer
You're going
Tracy.
way back.
Like
here.
no,
Wow.
it's like sit there and watch this and like let me know what you think of this, and it really is like it's intensive training. But I'm not the kind that like you go to an acting class and this works for some people, and that's amazing, and it has worked for a lot of people. But with me, I mean, my brain is wired a little differently, as I'm sure like you could tell from my wrestling performances. But that's just not how I operate. Where like this kind of instruction, like to understand how I think and how I will approach putting a character together, it's amazing how like really how quickly, and this is not a testament to what kind of a study I am, but what kind of a teacher this woman is. And again, from watching the old movies to like learning why and everything like that. So it's good.
So with all this said, you're diving right into acting. Does that mean you are done with wrestling?
For right now, yes. And I tell you what, I went to a New Japan show a few months ago. I was just visiting my buddy Tama and his brother too, and his dad was there, which was really cool. But I'm gonna be honest, I miss that crowd, and I didn't think I would.
And this is the thing about wrestling, you get an instant reaction from the crowd.
Absolutely.
With acting, you're on a set with a handful of people that have to be super quiet at all times. If the movie, when the movie gets released a year or two later, then you'll see a reaction, but it's not that instant reaction.
You're right. And again, that was a pretty major shift to get used to.
Sure.
Because where before, okay, number one, you don't have entrance music in acting. It's not like you come out of your trailer and they stop playing Hallelujah, which I was a little upset about.
Yeah.
I was a bit upset about that. I felt like
your rider.
when I joined SAG, like I was like, isn't this built in the union contract? But apparently not. That's fine. But it is just that massive, burst of energy, like that, for whether it's a cheer or a boo, that when I was physically in the building and I heard it's funny. Like I had like my DNA almost went, okay, time to go wear my boots. Yeah. But again, right now I'm really just trying to focus on acting, but that doesn't mean I'm never gonna step in a ring again. Because let's face it, everyone says I'm done. Everyone comes back, and I'm just not gonna be that guy, because what if I do get an itch someday? You know, I don't want to like niche myself into, oh, I'm just an actor. No, I mean, I'm me. I'm trying acting, and digging it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to deny my past.
Yeah, well, your former tag team partner, Cody Rhodes, has some pretty exciting stuff going on.
Oh my God, yeah, amazing.
Did you see anything last night, his press conference in Vegas?
I did not. I did not get a chance to. I'm sorry.
Kenny Omega has officially announced that he's there.
Awesome.
Do you have any interest in being a part of AEW?
You know, again, right now, where I know I have a pretty busy summer coming up, I don't know where I would fit time in. And also the thing is, like, I haven't been in a ring in almost 2 years, so... Do I like to think I could get in there and be just like I was? Yes. Not to sound braggadocious. Could I probably do that if I was in front of a live crowd? Yes.
Of course.
At practice, no. You know, I'm just one of those people, I need to kind of be there live and doing it, which makes auditioning an interesting thing. But no, I would want to be at my best. I would want to get in a ring, kind of move around, just to make sure that I'm okay. More importantly, I could protect anyone I'm in there with, that I still had that. Because, look, it's not me I'm worried about. It's always the other person. It's always, you know, protecting everyone you're in there with. And I would just owe that to anybody that I'm going to step in there with, that I can trust that they'd be protected. So,
do you think that AEW is going to provide actual competition for WWE?
You know, for right now, like, do I think within the first 2 weeks the Monday Night Wars will have No, but I will say this, definitely, it from what I hear, and I'm not that brushed up on what's going on, but looks like they have the financial backing, most definitely.
Certainly. Definitely
got the talent. It's going to be, all right, like, storyline-wise, are they that tuned in to what fans have wanted? Because, look, and again, I haven't really watched Raw that much at all, or SmackDown, or any product for that matter. But, you know, I've heard that there's, like, you know, the ratings are not doing that well, and that they're kind of hurting for characters. Well, if there's more emphasis on high spots, and I'm not against high spots, right? Like, I'm all for what works, plain and simple.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. When someone pays X amount of dollars for a ticket, right? Let's say you pay $50 for a wrestling ticket. It's on us to give them $100 worth of entertainment, so they have to go back next time and bring a friend. And obviously, there's some disconnect. So again, like, with the talent they have, but an understanding of what works. And you cannot tell me basic human emotion. You know, there hasn't been a lot of changes, right? I mean, people want to be entertained. This goes back to Rome and the Colosseum. It's a matter of tapping into what society is feeling at the moment. Right? What's going on? What's popular? What are trends? And I'm talking, like, I'm not talking about fashion trends or anything. I'm talking about, like, emotional trends. Like, what's the pulse of this generation? Do I think was AEW, right? Do I think that they have probably the best chance to do it out of anyone? Absolutely. And I really do wish that they succeed and kind of bring wrestling back. You know, Cody. And we've talked extensively in the past about the business and everything. You know, his ideas and what he believes makes a good wrestling show. And what makes good wrestling, I think that's a really, really good idea. Again, not that familiar with the Bucks, but obviously they know what they're doing. And I think it's going to be really interesting.
I mean, they're certainly approaching this from a business standpoint.
Which is great. Yeah. And because you have to do that first. Look, we all love it. But the business is just that, a business.
Yeah.
So
you know, you talk about characters, and any of the characters that you've ever had, you've gotten over tremendously.
Well, thank you.
What do you attribute that to?
Being in tune with the paying customer. Vince signed my paycheck, but I work for the people. Bottom line. You know, look, a lot of guys, they would go up to him and after every match or try to see him every week. And I was never one of those guys. I respected him. The man was a busy man. My job was to go out there and entertain the people. If someone needed to get a message to me, they would have gotten it to me. And,
sure.
They have before.
Yeah.
To me, it's just whatever I'm given, whether it is dressing up as an astronaut, being a smart guy in pink tights, or just being a stunt. I wasn't given the stunt double thing. I just did that out of actually boredom on Raw. I was bored. Yeah. they never told me like mimic him. That was just something I started doing. And I tell you what,
you were more over than Miz.
but
I'm saying.
Well, but if I didn't have Miz to go off of, I wouldn't have been over. And that really, Mizdow would not have worked if Miz was not as awesome as he was. And no pun intended, but does he still say that?
Of course he does.
Okay, well then.
It's the start of his entrance.
So there we go. So he had, like, that was a timing thing, because we, as a finish, sometimes we would talk about, okay, I'll come in and do a Mizdow thing here. And like we did plan some stuff out. 90% of our stuff was not planned. And this goes on live television and pay-per-view. They had a camera guy on me, a camera guy on him, and he knew, okay, if I do something and I fall down, like, we were very much in a rhythm. Like, he's not going to get up as fast as he normally would, because, okay, let Aron do his stupid thing, and then they'll react to that, then we'll go. Like, that was just timing, and I don't think I've ever been more in sync with somebody because Miz and I have been friends for years. We never really, like, rode together, though, and, like, hung out a lot. Like, I've been to his house a couple times, but, right, it's not not like we never talked, but we just never were really in that, like a core group of friends.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's a good friend, and we just had that chemistry that was like, it was pretty weird, and in a good way.
Going into that Money in the Bank match that you won the briefcase, what was the plan for your character? Was there a plan? Did they tell you you're going to cash in one day and become the champ?
It was kind of unspoken. They said, I remember, like, yeah, we're going to put it in your hands and we're going to go from there. I said, okay, fine. So that was just doing the job to the best of my ability. And it's funny, like the curse of the blue briefcase, where you win that one and you don't win a match until you cash in. Well, you know,
You made it a brown briefcase.
I did make it a brown one, yeah. Well, I had the blue robe. It was a little bit too much blue. But no, I had, you know, just decided, okay, I'm going to make this the best I can. And then if you're going to have me lose every week, that's fine. But and I asked Vince, may I say after I lose, and still you're uncrowned champion, right? So that was heat. And it worked. We just had more heat. Like, fine. I don't need to win or whatever. I just need an audience and a stage to perform on. And it was working. Didn't end necessarily the way I would have liked it to, but again, wrestling's fake. No, but and I don't mean that in a derogatory way at all. You know, acting's fake.
Of course.
But it was, look, this is the issue. We're going up against Monday Night Football in the World Series and blah, 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 ratings. You got 3 segments, go. Fine. And I had to, you know, do the best I could. I had to get over. And then, you know, the day after that, we were in Tampa. And, okay, I didn't have the briefcase, but I was really starting to kind of get going. And the next week, nothing. So I was like, all right, well, we'll just have to deal with this. So it is what it is.
But was it ever spoken to you that Damien Sandow is going to win the briefcase, we're going to have you win the title in 3 months, 6 months, whatever?
No. They never gave me a plan like that. And no, there was no really, like, this is the trajectory you're going to go.
So it was just like all they had planned out was that night?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like it makes much sense.
Well, you know, maybe they were worried about other things. So, you know.
I guess.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people, and they, you know, WWE creative, blah, blah, blah. And look, there's 2 sides to every coin. But to me, look, it's up to the talent to make sure, look, at the end of the day, whatever process goes into, like, handing talent this sheet of paper and saying you're doing this. Whatever that process is, look, you can criticize it, whatever, right? And chop it up, and they have people that write articles about it online and everything. But when you're handed that script, first, you have the option to say, hey, could I try it this way or do it this way? And you can go to Vince, and I will say this, every time I've ever gone to Vince and I've asked him to try something this way, again, keeping it within the margins of what was supposed to be said, the message to get across, and in the time frame, always let me do it. Excuse me. So I really have nothing bad to say about that. But when you're handed the script, you get 2 choices. You can make it suck, or you can make it good. And look, there are some pretty bad pieces of material that I've been hit, like where I'm dressed in an astronaut suit and Davy Crockett, like, pretty bad. And, you know, I think a lot of guys that have done that in the past where they dress up as like, oh, okay, well, I'm so-and-so portraying this character, and it's, you know, they've gone out and they very much have been like the wrestler dressed like someone. Where, you know, when I was Daniel Boone, I just went, okay, I remember like watching the old Daniel Boone tapes when I went on YouTube and stuff. And like I turned into Fess Parker, who was the original Daniel Boone. Like I like going down, like smelling the, you know, the powder from the pyro and like making sure. I just said, you know what, you're gonna give me TV time and have me do this. Yeah. I go, okay. You know, it'll be interesting. And that was it. And I tried to make it good for the people and as well as the bosses. So
your cash in, I heard people say at the time that this was going to be the best thing to happen in your career because it was a really good match.
Thank you.
And if you watch it back on YouTube right now, the amount of dislikes on that match are almost not on you, just the fact that you got buried, basically.
Oh wow! Well, that thank you to everyone who gave the.
Yeah, there are so many thumbs down. All the comment section is, I didn't know this was a buried alive match. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, a lot of that.
Thanks, guys.
How did you feel that match went?
I thought it did its job. Look, I was cast to not win. All right. I need to put my own reservations, my own ego aside, because look, whatever I was feeling, whatever I had going on, that stopped the second I came through the curtain. Because that's the role I was in. I had to make that I had to make people feel something in that match, right? Mm-hmm. Wasn't going to walk away with the title. Was losing the briefcase. I had to leave fans with something in here, right? An emotional response. And I mean, you know, it's funny because when you said like there's a lot of dislikes and like I've obviously I think that did that. But again, it took Cena. Cena needed to be, as giving as he was. And that's what it is. It is a dance. And whatever goes on backstage politically, and there's a lot of people that are insecure and whatever, that's all out the window the second you go through the curtain. Mm-hmm. And what happens in the ring and what happens out there in front of the people, that's the performance, that's why you do it. Leave it there and just make sure that they're happy, they're satisfied, and that they walked away with something.
But I feel like it was like a turning point for your character in your WWE career.
Mm-hmm.
Like from there, it was like you went from being the guy who could have had a legitimate title run to being this comical character.
Yeah. And, they have a saying, oh, yeah, funny isn't money. And a lot of times that was true. And I was dressing up as someone different every week. And then they say, oh, yeah, we're just going to throw you with Miz. Knowing the role I was cast in, I'm like, all right, they say funny ain't money. Well, I agree to a point. But then again, like where wrestling fans, are becoming more and more educated. The internet has changed everything.
Absolutely.
Especially with this undercurrent of, oh, they're burying this person or doing that person. Yeah. Look, if Mizdow was just like funny, it wouldn't have had the longevity it did. Because how many times can you watch Miz get hit and fall down and then me fall down?
It was such a great gimmick.
Oh, thank you. But no, there was the underlying, like, the fans kind of knew where I was at. And, like, that was me kind of going, all right, you're going to have me do this? Well, I will just, take I will relieve myself to keep this classy on the business. But at the same time, entertain all of you and contribute to the business. It was a very, it was a multi-layered character, believe it or not. Because all I would have to do is look like I was mimicking everything in Miz, and then I would just kind of look and then wink at a crowd, and they would be like, all right, we get it. And then they would say that. They'd be like, you should be world champion. They have to, every night they would get that, and that's all it would take. Would be that one wink and we're in on the same joke. We're all in on this. Yeah. It wasn't just me. Mizdow everyone was in on it.
Yeah.
And that was what was kind of cool. That was just kind of helped build that connection with the fans.
And you kind of talked about this in your TNA debut promo. I wrote it down here. You said that you were, quote, too entertaining to compete for world titles. And that's kind of
that was
no?
Yeah, that was that. But then it was your promos, or even as a heel, you insult someone and people, they like it, and okay, so then why can't you just go with that? But look, it is what it is. And yeah, you can be too entertaining in terms of taking a character too far. When I was Intellectual Savior, how I was just completely out of my mind in public. You know, and the inspiration for that was it was from a college professor I had who was so educated that like he had absolutely no clue, you know, what was going on in the world at the time. But there was like this pompous kind of air about him that was a big inspiration for the Sandow character. And, you know, that was entertaining and people bought it. They probably knew. I mean, you could look online and kind of like, you know, probably like find me in like a camo shirt and, you know, like whatever, like sitting outside and in the woods or something. But they believed, you know, they really like, or they wanted to, that I was this just arrogant guy from Palo Alto. You know, and again, do I think a lot of them were smarter than that? Absolutely. But it was just cool. Like when, okay, if you were going to go meet me, you weren't just meeting the guy that plays Sandow. Like I was being Sandow all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And that was just so much fun. Like I absolutely love that.
When was the last time you called someone an ignoramus in person?
Actually driving over here on, yeah, I was on Sunset and there was, you know.
Yeah, Sunset's the worst. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do people like still ask you to do any of this stuff? Like, if you like maybe like do you do shout outs like that or something like, you know, where people are like, oh, can you like call me an ignoramus?
No, I actually no one's asked me to insult them for a while, but you know the West Coast people are really not into that kind of thing. So you know,
going back to that TNA promo, you didn't specifically say anything about WWE or you know you mentioned the Authority in it. Have you talked to Triple H or Vince since?
No. Look, they're busy guys. They got a company to run, and I have a new career to start, and it's that simple. Like, look, I don't like harbor a lot of like, oh, this should have happened. No, whatever happened. That's the way it is. Hey, good luck. Thank you very much. And it's just time to move on. Like you can't direct all this emotion into either a business or individuals that like, oh, they should have done this, because you know what, you'll just eat yourself up over it. And it's not worth it to me. I mean, I'm having way too much fun now. My life is far more bizarre now than when I was wrestling.
Wow.
Oh yeah. It's been an interesting couple months.
Is there a particular project that we might have seen you in recently?
Well, I did Midnight Texas with NBC. I got to play the Demon Chewy, which was interesting. I'm a hairdresser by day, the normal version of me, played by a guy named Bernardo, and that was really cool. Got to do They Came and Left, which comes out. That was with Jonathan Banks. From Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. That was awesome. And that was cool. Like the first time being on set with someone of that caliber.
Yeah.
When I was younger, like you would wrestle a lot of the guys that have been doing it with more experience and that were stars. They would teach you. And I really kind of had that with Jonathan Banks, which was really interesting because how like just, all right, do it like this or try it this way. And then watching him and feeding off him. So it was very much that same thing. And I was very appreciative of that.
The Rock has said when he was getting into acting that he wanted his career to be like Will Smith's, only bigger. What are your goals in this industry?
There are so many people that I absolutely love. Anthony Hopkins, Daniel Day-Lewis, you know, even going back, like Peter Fonda. There's so many awesome actors where, you know, look, Hugh Jackman is a guy that can play Wolverine and then do a play. That is, to me, like what an actor is. Like that you can do anything where you're not being the same person every movie. You're able to be flexible. You're able to just kind of spread your wings. And you know, if you look at guys like The Rock, you know, they've done that. Like they're doing different roles. They're really stepping outside your comfort zone. And to me, that's what it's about. You know, I would rather be remembered as the first me than like a second anyone else. I mean, there's definitely templates and things that I'd like to follow, but you know, look, at the end of the day, you just have to be yourself. And if a project comes up and it's right, you know, you do the best you can and you go from there. And really, like, there's no set way of making it here in Hollywood. Like to where, look, if you're doing a horror movie, if you're doing an action movie, if you're doing a romantic comedy, whatever it is, if you're doing just a student short film, the camera doesn't lie, and that does not mean you cannot deliver an Oscar-worthy performance, right? And in WWE, just because somebody didn't write out that I win, you know, a 10-pound belt or whatever, does not mean I cannot deliver a main event performance, whether I'm Daniel Boone or Damien Sandow, right? And that to me is the trick. That to me is kind of everything. Like, where regardless of circumstances, if you just be you and put everything you have into that, it's going to stand out one way or another.
Does being a former wrestler work for you or against you?
I actually, again, you know, one of the things you would think, you move to LA, I have so many followers on Twitter and blah, 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 blah. My
You
Instagram.
should have more followers on Instagram, by the way.
Oh my God. All right. You know what? Can we just,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about this now. So I am a very, very private person,
Okay.
right? So never had the Instagram when I was with WWE, but apparently out here, yes, Instagram is the way to go. So I had an Instagram, then all of a sudden they thought I wasn't me because there's 10 people. This was over a year ago. So I said, all right, I'm done with Instagram. But then I put it out there again. And I'm starting to build up followers now. And it's interesting. But my Instagram, may I plug my Instagram?
Oh, please.
And I have not tweeted a gym selfie yet, nor will I, unless I lose a bet or something. And I am not, absolutely refuse. And you have me on videotape, ladies and gentlemen. I did my hair for this. Look at this. I left Malibu. It's cold out, so I can't really go surfing or anything. But I would be very hard pressed to ever take a picture of food that I did not cook and Instagram it out. What? No, that is a pet peeve of mine. Look, if you cook something and it's awesome, hey, send that out to the world. But like, you go to a restaurant, you order food, like, haha, this is what I mean. I don't know. It's a pet peeve of mine. I'm not knocking it on anyone else. It's just something that I personally will never do.
This is a very big build-up to what your Instagram handle is.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, at the Aron, ARON Files, the Aron Files.
The Aron Files.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have more Instagram followers than you.
Yeah, I know. I started late, but I'm learning. I do that
saying.
weekly podcast on it's on barnburner.ca. It's on actually over 101 platforms.
With Tyrus.
No. This is another one. We'll get to the Tyrus one. The podcast now, they do all kinds of sports and they do wrestling, but they're huge in Canada. They're on 101 platforms, or 108 now, I think, maybe. I lost count, but it's iHeartRadio, iTunes. You can actually go to my Instagram, the Aron Files, and like leave questions below. I post a little icon every week. It's called Ask Me Anything. So fans can ask me about current events. They can ask me about wrestling. They can ask me just about whatever they want, and I'll answer it. And we've had some pretty interesting discussions. I had an awesome interview for Valentine's Day with two other wonderful women, Julie and Jenna. And so they kind of, actually, it'll be coming up, the February 14th edition. Got a little bit in depth and talked about, just different relationships, what they meant to me, and how on the road and how I've kind of dealt with that and things like that. So it's good. It's definitely a different side of me. And when I say I'm a private person, I'm slowly kind of like coming out of my shell in terms of my personal life.
Here's the thing though with Instagram is you can still be a private person, but just choose what you want to post on.
Yeah.
Like, look at what, like, to bring up The Rock again, look how he uses Instagram.
Yeah.
He uses it as a marketing tool.
Yeah.
And you being an actor could totally use it as a marketing tool.
Yeah, so that's what that's what the new plan is. Just get more Instagram followers and just kind of as we grow, and now I'll be able to start posting a little bit more about like projects I'm doing. So it's it's good.
Maybe it should be the Aron Stevens then, and people would,
True, yeah. Well, there's like 1,000 different Aron Stevenses too. But you know what? I should check on that.
But we've already plugged it though. So people,
we've already plugged. So yeah, no, we're sticking with the Aron Files.
If people follow you now and then you change it in a week, all those followers will stay with you. So
okay, cool. But no, I think we'll just keep it because we put it out here, and with all of your viewers, we can. And also the Tyrus and Tim podcast, which you can check that out. Just type that in if you're not following it already. I am the man on the street in that podcast now. So every week, I'm going to be discussing just a little bit of news, what's going on, and getting a little bit more in depth to some of these absurd things that are out there.
When I just want to go back to WWE for a minute here. When you asked for your release, what was the thought process going into this?
Well, when I asked, they said no, and they said we're going to check. And it was about 2 weeks later they released me with a bunch of other people.
We're going to check. What's that mean?
I think. Exactly. I have no idea. I was just like...
There's some, news stories out there right now that people have these are rumors, of course, have asked for their release and been denied. That's a thing?
They didn't say no to me. They said, we'll check, we'll find out, we'll get some answers. Because, look, I went to them and I said, hey, look, creatively, obviously, you guys are not feeling what's going on here. There's nothing more I can do. I mean, I have been a hated bad guy off the bat with little investment. I mean, I remember they gave one guy like vignettes and everything, and they brought him up on Raw the same time I did. I'm not going to mention any names, but there was a lot of time and money invested in this guy. And with me, it was like, oh yeah, go in the pre-tape room and just talk for 30 seconds. But it was an opportunity. And when I debuted, the second I came through that curtain, people booed me.
Yeah.
And it got worse every week. And like, I do challenge anyone to like think of a heel that was pretty much not in the fold at all, you know, out of and down in Florida there in obscurity, and then just pluck them out and say, okay, go get people to hate you. Well, I did that fairly quickly, you know, with the help of Dusty and a lot of other people's input, but than anyone in recent memory that I can think of. And I thought, okay, this is great. But again, another hurdle to jump, cool. And look, that's what life is, though. You just got to keep jumping hurdles and doing it. Did the same thing as a babyface. And with me, they never said, hey, we want to repackage you. Like with so many other guys, they repackaged them 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
I never got that. Like my character was very linear. It went from intellectual savior to blithering idiot mimicking the Miz with no break. And that, but the organicness of that, like that's one thing I'm proud of, is that, you know, it was able to kind of like, despite all the ridiculousness, kind of just evolve into that and turn into what it was. So
what was your reasoning for asking for your release?
Look, I'm very thankful, you know, for a paycheck, and they paid me well, but I don't think that life is worth a paycheck necessarily all the time. You have to find your balance. You have to have your needs met, obviously, food, shelter, clothing, and whatever. But when I just feel creatively stuck, like the hamster on the wheel, and I look at some guys there that were there with me, and look, in life, like, what am I going to do? Am I going to give another 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years to this company? And then what am I going to have to show for it? Because when you're viewed one way there, you know, and there's exceptions to every rule, but the statistics would show they view you as this, that's all you'll ever be. And I just had to make a kind of that decision where, look, I want better for myself. I want more opportunity than I'm being afforded at this company in this industry. And this is not for like even going to them, hey, what do you want different from me? Never told me to change anything. Never once was I told, you know, gain 10 pounds, lose 10 pounds, cut your hair, do this. Nothing. And at that point, when I have exhausted every single option, you know, it wasn't like a quick thing, like I quit. No, this was, I put some time into this. I said, you know what, I have to kind of detach, because look, if you put your hand down a rabbit hole, let's say, right? And I don't know, rabbit hole, I don't like that. That's actually not animal. Let's say there's a hole in the wall, ladies and gentlemen, right? And you put your hand in this hole and you pull out a $20 bill. Okay, that putting your hand in the hole is a good thing, right? Well, eventually, if you do it and there's no $20 bill and you keep doing it, right, that's a waste of energy. So the ends do not justify the means. Mm-hmm. And that's all it was. The ends were not justifying the means, where I did not feel I was being creatively challenged enough. And I just think it was time to move on. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know, the WWE is, it's a juggernaut, and you can criticize booking or whatever, but look, they've been around for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to criticize my time there. You know, and I'm not going to speak bad professionally about anyone there, because, I mean, the truth is, what good is it going to do?
Well, I've heard a lot of people saying exactly what you're saying. It's one thing to go, I'm in the WWE and I'm getting paid every week. But I was actually having this conversation with Joey Ryan in the last interview that we did. He said I could go to WWE, but I wouldn't be able to do what I want to do. I can go in the independents, be my own boss, make my own schedule, and set my price. And this is kind of what you're talking about. You're just doing it with acting.
Yeah.
You're saying, yeah, I could keep being in WWE, or I can go, you know, write my own story for myself somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's what it is. And you know, again, there's no ill will towards anybody there, really. And Impact either, you know, I had a blast in Impact, and the last two tapings I did, it really kind of got me to love wrestling again, and I was happy that I ended it on that note. So there's some really good guys down there.
We're going to see you back in a ring.
No, you never know.
Well, all right. Well, the Aron Files. We'll put the link down below for you.
Oh, awesome! That's great.
Yeah, well,
That's
the
great.
link will be below. Many people will watch this, and you can ask Aron anything.
Ask me anything, and check me out on the Tyrus and Timpf podcast.
There you go. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, that was a long one. And that was a good one. So if you're still watching this now, thank you so much for hanging out for the last 40 plus minutes as I continue to be here in Hollywood and walk along Hollywood Boulevard. Look whose star I just found. Yeah, Bugs Bunny has a star here on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. You know who else has a star here on the Hollywood Walk of Fame? Vince McMahon does. So I keep walking along here. Kevin Hart, Roger Corman. If you've never been to Hollywood Boulevard, this is surprisingly quiet on the street right now. Partially because it rained a little bit earlier, and when it rains here in California, people freak out, kind of like snow in other parts of the country. The other reason it might be quiet is because it's 7 in the morning and I'm waking up to go for a run here on Hollywood Boulevard. A huge thank you to Damien Sandow. I guess I should be calling him Aron Stevens, Aron with 1A, 1R, for taking the time to drive from where he lives in Malibu, where the rich people live, like I mentioned in the interview, all the way here to Hollywood to my hotel. It's about a 45 plus minute drive, depending on how good or bad the traffic is. The fact that he drove all the way here to do the interview, we ended the interview, and then he drove all the way back. So a huge thank you to him for that. I will put his Twitter handle. Twitter? Who uses Twitter anymore? Other than the president, I guess. I put his Instagram handle below if you want to give him a follow. I love his honesty about everything, where he's at with professional wrestling right now, where he's at with his acting career, and I wish him all the best with that. I love that he's not ruling out a return to wrestling, because you can't do that. You know how it is. I think that at some point, before this is all said and done, I think we will hear hallelujah one more time, because wrestling's a tough thing to leave. So I don't know if that's going to be WWE, maybe a Royal Rumble entry, or maybe another run. Maybe it's AEW. I'm not sure. But he is very passionate about what he's doing with acting right now, and I wish him all the best with that. And I love his honesty about the Money in the Bank run. And it's no disrespect to Damien at all, Aron, whatever you want to call him, but that was probably one of the worst Money in the Bank cash-ins ever, just the way that they booked it. There's so much potential for Damien Sandow, and I feel like it was just completely squandered. So it would be great for him to have a chance to actually live up to his full potential, and we can see what he can do. All right, so this was my second longest upload on my YouTube channel. What was the longest one? It was my interview with Diamond Dallas Page, also done here at a hotel in California. If you haven't checked that out, I will make it one of my suggested videos. He basically broke into my hotel room. I didn't know him at the time, but I heard like a knocking on the door. Diamond Dallas Page thought he was in my hotel room, like he thought that his hotel room was my hotel room. It's very confusing. Just watch the video. He explains it much better than I'm attempting to do right now. I'm trying to do 50 wrestling interviews this year. This is number 11, and it's only in the middle of February, so we are well on our way. Who do you think I should interview next? Drop a comment below and let me know. And if you're dropping a comment or watching this 40, probably 5-minute video, and you haven't subscribed yet, what's wrong with you? Like, seriously, no, please, just click that button. I'm not even gonna do the thing where you're like, click the button and ring that bell. I don't know. Just please subscribe.